Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? How are you doing? How was your 3 day weekend? Your 3 day weekend. I hope it was restful. It was invigorating. All that stuff. It is September 4th. Have you got everything ready? Have you completed your strategic plan? Have you started your strategic plan? What's going on? How are you guys doing this morning? How's everybody doing this morning? Welcome to this morning's edition of Contractors Chatter. I'm your host, Luciana Turner. I'm just popping in really quick. More of an integrity live. I know we're coming off of a long weekend. People are trying to get their kids out the door to school, trying to get back into the hustle and grind. Those of us who, excuse me, have flexibility and work for ourselves, we still have a lot of things we're doing for ourselves. I actually took a long extended weekend. Wasn't planning on it, but I just decided to do it and spent the day yesterday vegging out and enjoying time with my family. Had fun watching old movies, old horror movies. And it was just fun. Just vegging out and chilling. So, what did you guys do over the weekend? I hope you didn't work all weekend. Um, One thing I did do, if you're a follower of mine, you looked at my profile, and I'm going to share some highlights of it. I stitched a video, those who don't follow me on TikTok, I stitched a video of a gentleman. He was called into I don't know what the flat platform is, but the woman's allegedly a coach. And the man was calling in talking about he has a horrible relationship with his children. And there's allegedly parental alienation because they feel like he's a deadbeat for whatever reason. And she keeps talking about how does he want to be supported? And he keeps saying, I don't know. And she keeps saying, well, you're an adult, and adults can only be supported if they say how. This is where, and I'm sharing this so that you can understand something. When you engage a coach or a consultant, they are supposed to walk you through certain things. You are engaging a coach or a consultant to hold your hand to an extent. Now, I'm not saying they're supposed to do all the work for you because they aren't. But when you go to someone and say, I don't know, and their response is to keep asking you the question over and over again, there's a mismatch. There's a disconnect somewhere. And somebody needs to find out where the disconnect is. Because being asked that question over and over again is frustrating for the client. And to assume they really do know the answer and they're just not trying hard enough is a failure of the coach. That's why they engaged you. And I've been in that situation where I'm saying, I don't know. Now, it turned out I knew more than I thought I knew. But what happened was I went to a coach and I kept going from coach to coach to coach until I found the coach who was able to pull out of me what I knew and empowered me. One, they empowered me because I realized I knew more than I knew. That's the first thing. Secondly, once I realized I knew more than I knew, then we can really fill in some gaps. We can really fill in, okay, this is what you know, so you can act on that. This is what you don't know, so let's figure that out. And then that's where they began to educate me on what I don't know, and then I could act on what I don't know. Sitting there and a person is telling you, I don't know, and you're asking them and telling them, well, you can't get support until you tell them what you want them to support them in, is an exercise in insanity. And it's a failure on the part of the coach, not the part of the person asking for help. So when that person defaults into, you know what, I'm not going to do anything, is it really that person's fault? Because they've reached out for help. Now, where they reached out for help, but everybody keeps saying, you know, you know, you know. And in your mind and in your actions, you're saying, I don't know. And frustration will lead you to not do what you know. So my lesson on this point is this. Don't stop at one person. I don't care if you have to go to 10 different people. I don't care if you have to talk to 10 different, 20 different people. I don't care if you have to watch 30 podcasts. You keep going until you connect with that person who can pull out of you what you do know and fully identify what you don't. Because it's a failure on the part of the so-called expert when they can't do that. Now, secondly, what I also saw in that clip was a bias arising in the part of the coach. Coaches have biases too. Now, they are supposed to work on compartmentalizing their biases. Professional coaches can compartmentalize their biases. Or when they can't, they're supposed to say, I can't service you. Let me refer you to someone else. She was a bad coach because she didn't compartmentalize her bias, or she really couldn't do anything for that person. And instead of embarrassing him on a syndicated show, she should have referred him to somebody else. Now, I've seen other stitches of it, and they've called him a man baby and all that other stuff, which does not help him in his case. Now, you can think of what you want to think of the situation. I don't care. I'm analyzing the actions of the coach and the coaching actions. And so many people get caught up in the subject matter, they fail the test. And the test is that coach failed the test because she didn't help the client. Period, point blank, in the day. She failed the client. That client needed help. I don't care what you fit. If he had came to her for help with his finances, she wouldn't have did that. But because of the subject matter, she kept defaulting to, you're an adult. You're supposed to tell people how to support you. Well, as an adult, aren't you supposed to tell somebody how to support you in finances? You see how the logic ain't logicking? So when you run up against a so-called coach or consultant who can't place their biases to the side, say thank you, get up, and walk away. You do not have to subject yourself to that. I'm going to say it again. You do not have to subject yourself to that. Just because you paid money, signed a document, does not mean you have to subject yourself to bad service. And that is all the more reason for you to get up and say your services are no longer needed. Now, there are times when, as a coach, I have yoked my clients up. Come on, it's time to stop wallowing. It's time to pull it together. And then there are times when my clients have needed me to just hold the moment for them so they can breathe through what they need to breathe through. You have to balance that moment. But that coach wasn't even doing, she was judging her client. And that is something you should never do. So we're kicking off the final month of Q4 of the government fiscal year. And we are preparing ourselves for Q4 of the calendar year, because we're in the final month of Q3 of the calendar year. Pick up what I'm saying. This is the final month of Q3 of the calendar year, but this is the final month of Q4 of the government fiscal year. Understanding our positioning. We have to understand our positioning. We are not islands unto ourselves. A lot of us are sinking because we're trying to row the boat alone. And a lot of us are sinking because there's some weight that we need to throw off the boat. So do some analyzing between now and Friday, because you don't have too much time, and figure out which one are you and take the appropriate action. Are you rowing alone? Get some rowers. Are you carrying dead weight? Offload it. Figure it out. Which one are you? Do you need help repairing your boat? Get the right help. That's what we need to be doing on this great and glorious morning. Figuring some stuff out. And I'm going to tell you something. It don't take 2, 3, 4, 10 days to figure it out. It takes concentrated effort to figure it out. So set your clock. Go into everybody's phone has a timer feature. So go into the timer feature and allow yourself 90 minutes. No more, no less. 90 minutes. And in that 90 minutes, that power block, what you're going to do in that power block is figure out what resources you need. No, strike that. In your power block, you're going to figure out what resources you have. And are they doing what they're supposed to do? And if they are, you're keeping it. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then you're getting rid of it. You're going to replace it. When you finish with that activity, and if you do it in less than 10 minutes, you're not doing it right. I mean, deep dive into that resource. Do you even use it? And if you're not using it, should you be using it? That's what I'm talking about. At the end of that 90 minutes, take yourself a 10-minute break. And then move to the next part of the activity. Set your clock again for another 90 minutes. Now, the resources you threw away, do you need to replace? You have to keep doing this. And if I said something that you don't know how to do, then you need to be trying to reach out in my DMs. Hey, Luciana, I need help. I do not do free consultations, and I'm going to tell you why. Most people rely on free, thinking they want to get somewhere, and then you wonder why you're still in the same situation you are today you was 10 years ago. You have to invest. And that was a lesson I learned in my business. But that's another conversation for another day. But book a consultation. I will help you do what I'm talking about doing. You can't skip steps in the process and expect a result. That's just like wanting scrambled eggs and forgetting to take the shell off the egg. Or that's wanting scrambled eggs and just putting the shells in and then wondering why the egg is crunchy. There's process, there's steps to this thing. And when I started off, I said this was going to be a short live, and it's going to be a short live because I have 7th graders, and I need to get them together this morning. So with that, I'm empowering you today to exercise Power 90. Now, I don't know if I made that up or one of the coaches I work with made it up. Power 90 throughout your day. And then I want you to report back to me, send me a message, or join me tomorrow morning and tell me how that went. How did your Power 90 day go? What did you achieve? What did you find out? Let me know how it went. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning when we have our full sessions of Contractors Chatter, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we have to do some analyzing. I'm going to tell you, working with somebody who keeps asking you a question and doesn't eventually walk you to the solution, that's an exercise in insanity. And don't allow anybody to make you feel insane because they can't do their job. I'm your host, Luciana Turner. Thank you for turning in for this morning's edition of Contractors Chatter. Have an amazing day. And remember, a stressed mind will never create. And when you're in a stressful situation, the best thing you can do for yourself is remove yourself. Take a deep breath, walk around so that you can clear your mind and your body of that stress. And then you can come back to it and get your solution. I'll see you all tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have an amazing day.